Within the pits of Apokolips, Kalibak, son of Darkseid, enjoys a quiet evening of torturing and mutilating of animals. Kanto arrives with a message straight from the Dark God himself. It is time that the soldiers of Apokolips converge upon Earth, and Kalibak is needed. But Grail and her mother must be kept alive for Darkseid. The sun turns his back and smirks. No, for Kalibak. The slave pits of Apokolips. In an attempt to return home, Superman and Luthor searches for a mother box. Clark notices that his X-ray vision isn't working properly. There must be lead in the air. Luthor examines the air quality and notices that there isn't any lead. Suddenly, around the corner, a horde of slaves found their prey. Death for freedom! Death to Superman! They scream. Luthor takes extreme measure to ensure their safety, but Superman takes a beating. These aliens are only slaves. They are innocent. He slams the ground and the horde disperses into the darkness. The dust cloud clears and Luthor notices something unusual. The Man of Steel can bleed. It's not the lead in the air that blocks his X-ray. There is no sunlight. Elsewhere, Kanto and Lashina continues their search for Scott Free, and Grail begins an enchantment that will call forth the darkness in all hearts. Grail prepares the battleground for when Darkseid and his forces will appear. But at the Rock of Eternity, the Justice League pleads to the Dark Knight to step off the chair, but he wouldn't. Information stored in the Mobius chair cannot be obtained in any other way. Batman finally sees the light. But there is only one question the Cosmic Seed cannot answer. Who is the Anti-Monitor? Cyborg expresses his concerns due to his experience with being fused with the Apocalyptian tech, but Batman wouldn't hear it. Instead, he ascends higher and higher. Suddenly, a boom tube opens up and Scott Free has finally found the Justice League. But this is the first time the heroes have met Mr. Miracle. He grabs onto Wonder Woman's lasso of truth and informs the group that the armies of the Dark God is on their way to Earth. But the Anti-God and his army is already here. Scott demands that they go with him to the Anti-Monitor to try to get him off Earth. The group found a new ally in Mr. Miracle and will aid him on his quest. But Batman is not coming. The chair seeks knowledge, but the answers are in the depths of the multiverse. This is where the Dark Knight is going. But Hal Jordan won't be joining the League to meet with the Anti-Monitor. Space is his jurisdiction, and Hal and Bruce could use some male bonding time. They chain up Metron and the heroes boom tubes away to their destination. Back on Earth, the League returns, but they have company waiting for them. Grail, the Anti-Monitor, and the Army of Darkness is ready for war. Mere seconds later, a loud boom announces the return of the Dark God himself. Darkseid and his forces have finally returned to Earth, and they too are ready for war. Back on Apokolips, Superman can no longer fly. The lack of sunlight is making him human. He now has to put his trust in Luthor. They take to the skies to avoid the rampaging horde of slaves below, but now they are met by parademons tasked to kill them both. Seeing no other way out of their predicament, Luthor warns Clark that he will drop him. Luthor knows that Superman's cells are charged by solar radiation and the fire pits below are made up of that. He releases Clark and the Man of Steel falls towards certain doom. Back on Earth, the Justice League along with Mr. Miracle prepares for a very long day. Between the two armies made it to destroy. Who will they attack first? The two opposing gods have finally met face to face. No words are exchanged as the two gods converge like a roaring wave clashing upon rocky cliffs. Luthor is overrun with parademons and he too will join Superman's fate. A moment of doubt crosses his mind and he believes that he had killed the Man of Steel. Suddenly, a burst of light heralds the return of the last son of Krypton. Luthor, he yells as he returns from the pits of Apokolips. I should have killed you a long time ago. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Comic Island. My name is Joey and the Darkseid Wars is finally here. Justice League issue 43. Let's do this. Alright, let's take a look at Batman and the Mobius chair. I love that he is the one chosen to sit on the seat. Can you imagine anyone else but Batman on that chair? It's so interesting how involved Batman is in most Justice League story. You got Superman on Apokolips fighting for his life since his powers are on the fritz, and the rest of the Justice League are just following Wonder Woman's lead like a Scooby-Doo bunch. But Batman has to do the badass thing and claims a chair for himself. That's just so cool. So it appears that he is still somewhat in control. I wouldn't be surprised if he slowly gets corrupted and turned into a villain, and then go back to a hero before this story comes to an end. This is actually my speculation, so let's dive deeper into this thought. I'm gonna assume that Batman somehow gains omnipotence and removes Darkseid and the Anti-Monitor, but then his team will convince him to give up his powers and he loses his memories, and then everything will return to the status quo. Oh yeah, and I would like him to forget the identity of the Joker as well. I know this might be unpopular to say, and I know some of you guys want to know who the Joker really is, but that's just my speculation. Okay, so the next part I really like is a Luthor-Superman bromance scene. Clark loses his flight powers and Luthor gives him a helping hand. Ever since Forever Evil, which came out, 2 years ago, Luthor continues to do the heroic thing. I'm starting to really like this. It gives a new dynamic to the conflict between Luthor and Superman. I can see how Luthor could bring up so many examples of his heroic deeds, but it will never be good enough for Superman. So if the League ever has to choose between the two, it would be awesome if the team gets divided in half. Of course, at the end of it all, I want my evil Luthor back, but right now, I'm really enjoying this new anti-hero Luthor. Besides these two things I enjoyed, I didn't enjoy much else. The art is consistent and Wonder Woman still looks great, so that's always a plus. The characters are set and I'm super excited for the next issue. But before we come to the end of this video, I want to bring up this one last image of Superman. So we know he is powered by solar energy, and according to Luthor, the fire pits of Apocalypse has tons of that stuff. But could the solar energy be corrupted? I ask this because Superman seems a bit more mad than usual. It seems like he isn't in control of himself, and of course the art makes him seem all dark-like. Anyway, what do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time in the Justice League issue 44.